I was already late. Not fashionably late. Not apologetically late. Disastrously late. The kind of late where the elevator won't come fast enough, your shoes suddenly don't fit, and you realize halfway through the lobby that your badge is still in the bag you left at the coffee shop. I stood in front of the security desk, red-faced and breathless, trying to explain to a man in a blazer twice my size that yes, I really did belong here. Intern program, I said. Marketing floor. Someone named Teresa? She said I'd get a badge at reception. The man blinked slowly, then picked up the phone. I could feel the stares. From behind desks, from the hallway, from the glass-walled conference rooms. I tugged at the hem of my blouse and tried not to shrink into the floor. Take a seat, the guard grunted, nodding toward the leather chairs. I didn't sit. I couldn't. Because that's when he walked by. Gray suit. Open collar. No tie. Broad shoulders, sleeves rolled to the elbow. Air around him like it cleared a path on instinct. He didn't look at me. Of course not. Why would he? That was Thomas Grant, the CEO. The man whose name was printed on the folders I'd carried into my interview. The man who built this company when I was still in high school. The man who, according to every whispered story from HR, didn't smile, didn't flirt, and didn't tolerate anyone who slowed him down. I'd been warned. Do your job. Don't try to impress him. And for God's sake, never be late. He disappeared behind the elevator doors without a word. And I knew I'd just ruined everything. We weren't expecting you this soon. Teresa met me in the hallway outside the break room with a paper cup of coffee and a clipboard. She was younger than I expected, maybe 30, sharp suit, French braid, heels that clicked with purpose. You okay? She asked, glancing me up and down. I'm just nervous. You'll be fine. Just don't talk too much and take notes. On what? Everything. She handed me the clipboard. He's in early. There's a 9:15 with the creative leads. You'll sit in the back. Wait, he has in? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The first time he looked at me, the conference room was cold. Minimalist. 12 chairs. 10 filled. One at the head, still empty. Then he walked in. Thomas Grant. I stopped breathing. He moved like someone who didn't waste time with gestures, no warm greetings, no eye contact, just straight to business. Ideas, he said, tossing a tablet onto the table. Not excuses. Voices launched around the room. Concepts, stats, market projections. I scribbled on my clipboard like my life depended on it. And then, you. What's your name? My pen froze. He wasn't looking at anyone at the table. He was looking at me. The first word I said to him. Lena, I said, way too quickly. Lena Brooks. I'm just the intern. A flicker of something moved across his face. Not a smile. Not surprise. More like recognition. Then maybe the intern will tell me which of these ideas doesn't sound like recycled fluff. Every head turned. My stomach flipped. But I answered. The one with the app-only targeting strategy. It ignores half your buyer demographic. Silence. Then he nodded. Once. She's right. That was it. No praise. No thank you. But it was the first moment I felt like maybe I wasn't invisible. After the meeting, he passed me in the hallway, close enough to brush shoulders. He didn't slow down. But I heard it. He said my name. Good instinct, Lena. I didn't know if anyone else heard it, but I did. And it was enough to send my pulse racing. I came in thinking I was temporary, but now I wasn't so sure. Because Thomas Grant, the man who never noticed anyone, just said my name like he'd been waiting to. It happened on a Wednesday. The kind of gray, silent, painfully corporate Wednesday where the office felt like it ran on autopilot, emails, coffee, small talk, deadlines. I was sitting at the far corner of the open floor, headphones in, trying to ignore the buzz of fluorescent lights overhead and the low hum of someone's podcast 3 desks over. Then I saw her, Teresa, walking straight toward me with her phone in one hand and that look in her eye. That careful, neutral, unreadable look you get from someone who's about to deliver news you can't prepare for. She didn't stop walking. She just said 2 words as she passed. He called. My stomach dropped. The walk to his office. I didn't ask who he was. There was only one he in this building who had to be said like that. Thomas Grant. His office was on the top floor. Glass walls. Black oak doors. A skyline behind his desk that looked like it had been painted by God himself. I stepped into the elevator and prayed. Not for mercy. Just to remember how to speak in full sentences. He didn't look up right away. When I walked in, he was at his desk, scrolling something on his tablet. He didn't glance at me. Didn't even motion for me to sit. So I stood there, hands lightly folded in front of me like I was waiting for judgment. Sit, he finally said, without looking. I obeyed. The chair was cold. Leather. Expensive. He set the tablet down. And then he looked at me. The way he said my name. Lena. Just that. But it was different this time. Not surprised. Not polite. Just interested. Yes, Mr. Grant? How are you liking the work so far? The question caught me off guard. It's good. I'm learning a lot. From Teresa? Yes. And from me. I blinked. You don't talk to me much. But you listen. I swallowed. I try to. He nodded slowly, watching me. Then he leaned back slightly, crossing one leg over the other. What did you mean the other day about app-only targeting being a mistake? It ignores older users. People over 40 don't convert the same way. They're less impulsive, more loyal. It's short-term gain, but long-term loss. You remembered the exact numbers? Yes. Impressive. A long pause. Do you remember the color of the folder you brought to your interview? I blinked again. What? The folder. Burgundy. Leather. Slightly scuffed on the left side. My mouth went dry. He wasn't guessing. He remembered. The silence that spoke too much. Why are you telling me that? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, because people think I don't notice things. That I'm cold. Mechanical. Aren't you? That was bold. Too bold. But he didn't flinch. He just stared. No. I just don't waste time pretending to care about things I don't. But you. He stopped. Me what? You care too much. About everything. I can see it. Is that a bad thing? No, he said. It's dangerous. When it shifted. He stood then. Walked to the window. His hands in his pockets. I've worked with a lot of young people. Smart ones. Loud ones. Arrogant ones. He turned to me. You're different. Because I'm quiet? Because you make silence feel like it matters. My throat tightened. Mr. Grant. Thomas. What? If we're going to be honest in this room, call me Thomas. I didn't speak. I just nodded. And then he said, You can go. Outside his door. I walked out on shaking legs. Not because he said anything wrong, but because he didn't. And somehow that was worse. I passed Teresa on the way back down. She raised an eyebrow. Well, I think I just got promoted to completely confused. She smiled. Welcome to the team. He remembered my name. He remembered my folder. And now I couldn't stop remembering the way he said mine. It was 10:46 p.m. when the email came through. I was still at my desk, headphones off, the office long since emptied. Just me, the glowing monitor, and Max, the janitor, whistling down the hall as he wiped windows no one looked through at night. Subject line. Still working. Sender. Thomas Grant. No greeting. No signature. Just the question. I stared at the screen for a long second, then typed back. Yes. Finishing up that client pitch review you assigned to Teresa. The reply came 18 seconds later. You're not on that team. I hesitated, then typed. I wanted to understand the structure. This time the response took longer. Almost 2 full minutes. Then, why don't you come up for 5? My heart stopped. Up. His office. At night. The elevator ride. The elevator hummed like it was holding its breath. So was I. 5th floor. Executive wing. The floor that always smelled like fresh carpet and untouched coffee. The door to his office was cracked. I knocked once and pushed gently. He was standing by the window again. Always by the window. Not about work. You really stayed late for a file that had nothing to do with you? He asked, not turning. I wanted to know how your teams think. So you want to be like them? No, I said. I want to be better. That made him turn. He was in a dark sweater, sleeves rolled. No blazer tonight. Not a CEO. Just a man. You always this ambitious, Lena? You always this observant, Thomas? His mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. He motioned toward the chair. I sat. The personal part. You remind me of someone I used to work with, he said quietly. She leave. She stayed too long. That's supposed to be a warning? No. It's just. I saw what ambition can turn into when no one protects it. That hit deeper than it should have. You think I need protecting? I think you haven't had it in a while. Silence. He walked to his desk. Poured 2 glasses of water. Set one in front of me. I barely touched it. You look tired, he said. You emailed me at 10:46 p.m. Fair. The first vulnerability. This job, this place, it pulls everything out of you, I said. And then it asks for more. So why do you stay? Because when you're quiet long enough, people forget you're in the room. And that's where the real things happen. He looked straight at me. That's exactly what I used to believe. Used to, until I stopped being quiet. And people started fearing me instead. They don't fear you. Yes, they do. I don't. He stepped closer. Not threatening. Not hesitant. Just close enough to let the air between us go heavy. You're not afraid of much, are you? I'm afraid of wanting things I shouldn't. That stopped him. Like what? Like feeling too much when I'm sitting alone in my boss's office at night. He said nothing, but he didn't look away. Almost. You should go, he said finally, voice low. Probably. But you're not moving. Neither are you. We stared at each other. There was no touch. No kiss. But if eyes could burn, I'd have been ash by now. I don't want to ruin you, he said. Then don't. He turned away. Back to the window. That was my cue. I stood. Walked to the door. Then stopped. You know what ruins people, Thomas? He didn't turn. What? Trying to pretend the feeling's not there. And then I left. He didn't follow me. But he didn't stop me either. And somehow, that made me want him more. I didn't plan on running into him outside the office. And certainly not at 9:07 p.m. on a Saturday night. But there he was, standing in the bookstore, one hand on a hardcover copy of East of Eden, the other casually buried in his coat pocket. He looked completely out of place in the fluorescent-lit, slightly dusty romance aisle, like someone who accidentally walked into the wrong life. So did I. I should have turned and walked out. But instead, do you read Steinbeck often? I asked. His eyes lifted. Calm. Familiar. And something else. Only when I feel like reminding myself why loneliness is so dangerous. Unexpected familiarity. What are you doing here? I asked. I could ask you the same. I live 4 blocks away. And I don't. We stared at each other. Neither of us smiled. So you followed me? I half joked, heart pounding. No, he said. But I didn't leave when I saw you walk in. Why? His answer was quiet. Because the last time you left a room, I hated it. Trying to stay distant. I moved first. Toward the far corner, pretending to browse a stack of old poetry anthologies. He followed, slowly. You look different, he said. It's Saturday. I don't wear heels to buy second-hand books. No. I mean, he hesitated. You look lighter. And that's a problem? It's dangerous. I turned. You always say that word. Dangerous. Like I'm a minefield. No, he said. Like you're a spark I keep walking toward with bare hands. He crossed a line. Finally. You keep pulling back, I said. Saying too much, then vanishing. Because I shouldn't want this. But you do. His jaw tensed. Yes. One word. So honest it nearly knocked the air out of me. Then why do you look like you're about to apologize? Because I don't want you to think this is about power. Or status. Or some pathetic midlife distraction. I stepped closer. You remembered the color of my interview folder. He blinked. What? You remembered something no one else would. You saw me. Before I even spoke. I did. And I've never stopped feeling seen since. Silence. Then, he reached for the book in my hand. Not to take it. Just to cover it gently with his. The conversation that changed everything. I don't know how to be someone's person anymore, he said. Then don't try to be. Just be here. What if I ruin it? Then let it ruin me too. I don't know who leaned first. But we met in the middle. Not a kiss. Not yet. Just his forehead against mine. Breath shared. He didn't touch my waist. I didn't grab his collar. We just stood there in the middle of a bookstore, between broken spines and under cheap lights, and finally let it be real. Do you want to leave? He asked. With you? Yes. Then ask me. He whispered. Come home with me, Lena. And I nodded. Not because I wasn't scared, but because I was done pretending he hadn't already become mine. His apartment was cleaner than I expected. Sleek. Minimal. Everything in its place. Except him. He stood by the door longer than necessary, like he was waiting for me to say something that would make all of this go away. I didn't. I walked in slowly, peeled off my coat, and turned to look at him. He hadn't moved. Is this where I pretend I came for a glass of wine? I asked. Only if I get to pretend I invited you for one. You didn't. I know. We stood there in the quiet. He exhaled. Do you want to sit? Do you? Not really. Then don't. And I crossed the room first. The first touch. He reached for the switch. Soft lighting washed over the space. Bookshelves. A worn piano. A bottle of whiskey, unopened, on the counter. And then I felt his hand. Not grabbing. Not pulling. Just fingertips. Brushing the side of my arm like a whisper. I turned toward him. He looked wrecked. Tired, like he hadn't let himself want anything in years. I'm scared of you, he said. Why? Because you make me forget who I'm supposed to be. Then who are you with me? Someone honest. The conversation they couldn't avoid. We sat on the edge of his low sofa, shoulders not touching. Everything else was. I haven't done this in a long time, he said. Let someone in? No. Let myself care. He looked down, hands clasped. You don't owe me anything, Lena. I'm not here because I owe you. Then why? I turned to him. Because you remembered my name before I said it. Because you listened when no one else did. Because every time I leave a room you're in, I want to walk right back in. His eyes closed for a moment. I keep thinking this isn't fair to you. Stop deciding what I can handle. You're young. I'm not fragile. Silence. And then, I'm falling for you, I whispered. His eyes opened slowly. I know. Do you feel it too? Since the day you corrected me in front of 10 people and didn't flinch. The shift that broke the air. He touched my cheek. Soft, like I might disappear. And then he kissed me. It wasn't urgent. It wasn't perfect. It was real. And it was ours. My hands found his chest. His breath caught. I felt his restraint, thick as gravity. We don't have to do anything, he murmured against my lips. But I want to. You're sure? Yes. He searched my face. Not for lust. For truth. And whatever he saw, it made him let go. Of control. Of caution. Of every wall he'd built to keep himself from needing anyone. What came after? We didn't rush. Clothes on the floor in pieces, not flung. His mouth on my shoulder. My fingers in his hair. We whispered each other open. And when he finally held me completely, there was no fear left. Only breath. And heartbeat. And the quiet understanding that something had changed so completely, there would be no going back. After, we lay in silence, tangled together. His arm around my waist, my face against his chest. He whispered it then. Not loud, not performative. Just enough. Stay. I wasn't planning to leave. I know. He kissed the top of my head. And I closed my eyes, not to sleep, but because this was the first time in years I wasn't afraid of tomorrow. I woke up before him. The curtains were still drawn. The light in the room was soft, gray. His arm was draped across my waist, heavy and warm like it belonged there. Like he forgot to pull away. I didn't move. I didn't want to break the moment. He shifted slightly behind me, his breath brushing my shoulder. And then, quietly, "You're still here." I nodded. I didn't speak. He pulled me closer. "I didn't expect to sleep," he said. "Not with someone else in the bed. Did you?" I turned toward him. His hair was messy, his eyes still tired. But he was smiling. Just barely. "I slept better than I have in years." He exhaled, then kissed my forehead. It was careful, gentle, like he still wasn't sure this was real. "You don't regret it?" "No," I said. "Do you?" "Not for a second." But then I saw it, that flicker of worry behind his calm. "What?" He hesitated. "We work together. People will talk. You'll get questions. So will I. Let them talk." "Lena." "No. I mean it. I'm not going to lie about what this is. I'm not ashamed of how I feel. Neither am I." "Then let's stop pretending we're doing something wrong." His thumb brushed my cheek. I leaned into his touch. "You know this changes everything, right?" "It already has." He watched me for a long moment. "You make it hard to stay guarded," he whispered. "Then don't." He smiled again. This time, fuller. "Get dressed," he said. "I'll make coffee." I started to sit up, then stopped. "Thomas?" "Yeah? Are you going to ignore me at work?" He raised an eyebrow. "I won't treat you differently. But I won't pretend nothing's changed." "Good," I said. "Because it has. And I don't want to go back." "Neither do I." We got dressed in silence. But it wasn't awkward. It was warm. Safe. Downstairs, the coffee was already brewing when I came into the kitchen. He handed me a mug. Our fingers brushed. He didn't pull away. "We're going to be okay, aren't we?" He looked at me with that quiet certainty I was starting to fall in love with. "We already are." I walked into the office 10 minutes early. Not because I was nervous. Because I needed the quiet before the noise. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped out into a hallway that suddenly felt unfamiliar. Same desks. Same air. But something had shifted. Me. People glanced up as I passed. Some smiled. Some didn't. A few whispered. I didn't look away. I didn't shrink. I didn't apologize for being exactly where I wanted to be. At my desk, I opened my laptop with steady hands. But my chest was thudding. I didn't see him yet. And I didn't know if he would look at me the same in daylight. 30 minutes passed. And then I heard the click of his office door. He walked out slowly, calm, composed. He said good morning to the team, nodded once to Teresa, made it 3 steps toward the boardroom before his eyes found mine. And he stopped. Just for a breath. Just for me. Then, without hesitation, he turned and walked toward my desk. My heart stopped. "Lena," he said softly. "Yes? Can I speak with you?" I stood, silent, following him through glass walls, knowing full well who was watching. Inside, he closed the door. I could hear my pulse in my ears. He didn't sit. Neither did I. "They're talking," I said. "I know. They're going to say I used you. Or that you used me." He stepped closer. "Let them talk. You're not afraid?" "Only of losing something real by pretending it didn't happen." "And is this real?" He reached out, touched my wrist, then my hand. His voice low. "You're the only real thing I've had in years." I looked up at him. "I didn't ask for this, Thomas." "Neither did I. But I'm not walking away from it." I paused. Then I did something I hadn't done since the first day. I reached for his hand first. "You don't have to protect me from what they'll say." "I know," he said. "But I want to." He took a breath. "If you want me to walk back out there and pretend, I will. But I won't lie to you. I don't want you to lie. Then stay right here. With me. I stepped forward, close enough to feel the weight in his chest, the quiet fear he tried to bury. I'm not temporary, I whispered. No, he said. You never were. We stood like that together, steady, while the world outside kept moving. And for the first time, I didn't care who saw us. Because he chose me. And I chose to be chosen.